Most e-commerce brands believe in this very simple equation. If the website looks better, it will also perform better. More inspiration, more brand feel, more design polish will also translate into higher sales. And that's the assumption baked into most e-commerce roadmaps right now. But here's the trap that nobody talks about. Inspiration and conversion don't always move in the same direction. In e-commerce, in fact, they're actually often in conflict. And the problems begin when teams overinvest in one of these two things while completely forgetting about the other. Hi, my name is Paolo, and in this video today, I want to challenge one of the most persistent assumptions in e-commerce, that a more beautiful or a more inspiring user experience or a content-driven digital product is always the best strategic choice that you can make. Well, it isn't. And I'll show you exactly why using a framework that maps conversion and inspiration across three distinct categories in e-commerce. Because the reality is that most e-commerce brands are not just getting the balance between conversion and inspiration wrong. They're doing it backwards. And the worst thing is that they are doing it confidently with full budget approval and a roadmap to prove it. And this is not a design video nor a UI UX tutorial. This is a strategic conversation about where e-commerce teams should focus their energy on and their time and their resources, and about how they can actually make that case internally using a proven defensible framework. So let's dig into the first chapter of this video, conversion, and about why conversion is the foundational element that every e-commerce team should focus on. As you might already know, conversion is truly essential when it comes to e-commerce. Whether you are Amazon or a luxury e-commerce, it doesn't really matter. Conversion is really the non-negotiable foundational must-have that every e-commerce should be built upon. And then, on top of it, inspiration might also come, as we will see in this video. But what does it actually mean? Well, in this video, we will be focusing on what I call product conversion. And product conversion only means one thing: frictionless experience from session start till checkout. It means minimizing all the obstacles between user intent and completed purchase, which, is the final end goal of e-commerce. And it means making sure that the experience that the user has inside your digital product from the moment in which he sets foot inside the door till the moment of the checkout is extremely seamless. But be aware, frictions might be much more subtle than one might think. A missing payment method that the user expects to be there, but it's not, or a simple UX element that is covering the price of your products, or maybe a simple extra click that is required to activate a promo and that made a user churn from your website and go purchase somewhere else. To optimize the product conversion, you really need to focus on the full user experience, starting from when the user lands on your website or digital product up to the moment where he leaves, hopefully with a checkout. And every single interaction of this process counts, while many teams don't have the full picture in mind. In fact, many commerce teams spend the majority of their time in content redesign and homepage refreshes, while frictions quietly kill their conversion. So what's the recipe for a great product conversion? Because brands who have a useless experience and a great product conversion aren't just lucky. They strive for product excellence. And as in many other things, excellence also in digital comes with a great deal of effort. First of all, obsession with your digital product. You should think it this way: if the product is not good for me, well, then it's not good for my customers or my users. And the best product owners are those who act like the most demanding customers or users that you might have. Never satisfied about the digital product and always looking for improvements, and also testing, finding some small imperfections and details that can always be improved. And no, it's not a one-off redesign project that will improve automatically and magically your customer experience and optimize your digital product to maximize conversion rate. Repeat after me. It's not a project, it's a process, a continuous cycle made of testing, observing customer behavior, improvements of features that don't work, and making sure that the features that do work are optimized. Also, to strive for product excellence, you could also leverage on product analytics, which is the field of analytics that tracks users' behavior and all the interactions that users have with your digital product inside the app or the website. What product analytics is really a learning opportunity to understand what your users are actually engaging with, which features, which part of the funnel, what works and what doesn't work. And product analytics is relevant for tracking all those interactions that might be a little bit harder to track using just intuition and observation. If you want to learn more about product analytics, make sure to check out this video in which we discuss the two most relevant elements whenever we are dealing with this topic. So the third big activities that product managers or marketers can put in place to optimize your digital product for a better conversion, striving for product excellence, is enhancing and integrating new functionalities. And of course, I'm talking here about the newest technological features that the market is releasing. If you're watching this video in 2026, a few examples might include a new internal search algorithm within your e-commerce that is fully and completely based on AI. Or if you work in fashion, a virtual try-on feature that at checkouts lets customers try on virtually the product that they're about to purchase. Of course, the integration of new functionalities need to be assessed properly based on the product that you're selling, the industry that you're in, the price of these functionalities, and many other elements. As a general rule of thumb, new functionalities should always be addressed as a continuous improvement of your digital product because the market is always coming up with new features and new technological improvements. But of course, you need to stay relevant and implement only those that are truly essential for the improvement of your conversion and your product excellence. So how can I improve my product conversion? Well, you need to first be obsessed with your product, you need to leverage on data analytics, and then you need to make sure to include and integrate new functionalities that are relevant to your customer base. But remember, the unifying principle is always the same: striving for product excellence. Because these three elements are not silos, they are working together. So product analytics should inform the new functionality. On the other hand, the recurring testing that you're running on your website might help you realize something that data is not able to emerge. So what I'm proposing here is a system mainly based on discipline to keep optimizing what already works, because the gap between a good e-commerce and a great one usually is not design. So if conversion is the non-negotiable must-have foundation for every commerce, regardless on the industry they're playing in, well, let's talk about inspiration. So as we said earlier, inspiration should be built on top of conversion, right? But then if that's the case, why websites like Amazon or Temu are wall of products with no inspiration, no editorial content, and to be honest, also quite ugly user experience? But still, they are amongst the most dominant players in e-commerce that we've seen up until today. You already know the answer, so I'll cut right to the chase. They are price-driven online stores, and for them, well, inspiration is a nice to have at best. Their competitive advantage is based entirely on price, availability, and speed. And these are the things that they should be focusing on. Definitely not inspiring their customers. And well, I'm not talking about advertisements. In those, of course, there must be some inspiration. I'm talking about in the way the digital product is set up. Players in this category can belong to multiple fields, such as consumer tech like Amazon, but also fast fashion like Shein or Temu, but also beauty consumer goods or online grocery stores. So if price-driven online stores belong to the first category of our framework, brand-driven online stores represent the second one. And those are the e-commerce in which inspiration is actually highly relevant because it adds value to the customer experience. At the same time, though, inspiration remains secondary and it should never be confused or funded at the expense of conversion. This field is also very broad and includes most of the fashion brands that we wear every day, including marketplaces like Zalando, where we purchase our clothes. But it can also include furniture and design e-commerce like IKEA online store or sport brands. The purpose of inspiration here in general, not only relative to the brand's digital space, is to first differentiate from its competitors, and secondly, well, to create an emotional bond, an emotional connection with your customer base that usually allows the brand to ask for a premium price and to strengthen brand loyalty and customer retention. And to be honest, this segment is so broad that I would include also players that don't only sell physical products, but also digital ones, like digital products or digital services. And they place on their websites or on their app editorial content like blogs or article to position themselves as an institution in the field. So for brand-driven online stores, inspiration is highly relevant for their digital experience. At the same time, many of these players are still performing quite successfully without focusing on it, on their online presence. Let's now get to the last category that we are covering in this framework, which are luxury online stores, for which inspiration is actually structurally required. For these brands, the luxury brands, the digital channel is expected to carry the brand world. And any investments in inspiring content, inspiring digital experiences is justified. So luxury brands play at a completely different game if compared to the category that we have analyzed in this framework. First of all, they don't compete on price because the price point is so high that very few can actually afford it. And that's basically the second element that sets luxury apart from the others. The scarcity of luxury. Very little stock sold at a price that's so high that of course this dynamic per se creates desirability. Of course, luxury is based on high quality, but that's a hygienic element. That's an essential element of luxury. If you're paying $5,000 for a bag, of course you get the highest quality possible. If quality is essential, the differentiator is inspiration. Because at the end, inspiration is actually the value proposition of every luxury brand. Because we're talking about icons that live off their symbolic value. And in the fast-moving times that we are living in, inspiration cannot be eradicated on the physical world. It needs to also be applied and integrated in the digital space. So whenever it comes down to luxury brands, inspiration and conversion are really both essential to your digital strategy. But the reality is the majority of brands are actually not playing in luxury. Yet many commerce teams allocate precious time and resources to inspiration as if it was universally strategic. And this framework makes that misallocation quite visible. So let's bring these all together. First of all, we talked about conversion and about how conversion is the non-negotiable foundational element of every commerce, regardless of the category you're playing in. Frictions and obstacles that block users from converting are the most important challenges on which marketers and product managers should focus on. And product conversion should not be just optimized sporadically. It's not a one-off project, it's a process. It's a continuous cycle of testing, improvements, optimizations. And being obsessed with your product is actually the first step for stepping up your online customer experience. At last, inspiration. As we've seen, it's not a universal priority. It's strategic, but it depends on the industry you're playing on. And deploying it outside a justified context is actually an allocation mistake. And as we know, time and resources are scarce by definition. So, what does this all mean for you? First, define the game you are actually playing on, or the game in which you want to play. Are you price-driven e-commerce? Are you a brand-driven one? Or are you playing in the luxury field? Then look at where your team's time, budget, and resources, such as the roadmap, are actually focusing on. Because if inspiration is consuming resources that should be allocated to conversion, of course, regarding your digital product, well, maybe it's time to take a step back and reset your goals and realign your expectations. Well, at least now you have a framework to work on and to push your ideas that are not just opinions, but are structural arguments based on the industry that you're playing in. So that is all for today. Thanks for watching my video. And if you like this content about e-commerce and digital marketing, don't forget to hit the like button and follow for more. Bye.